I can watch it, then I should watch it. Then I can give you a true assessment. And my assessment was he looked comfortable. That's the best compliment I can give you. If you're a quarterback, you're a rookie quarterback, you look comfortable, confident. And he did. He looked like he had command of the offense. That's great. Even if you make a mistake, a turnover, a fumble, you kind of run.
The Giants made a massive mistake, and it's already showing. While Shedeur Sanders is out here looking like a seasoned veteran, commanding the offense with that ice-cold confidence we've all been talking about, Jaxson is. Well, let's just say the preseason numbers don't lie. But here's the thing nobody's talking about. The Giants have the hardest schedule in the NFL, and they just passed on the one quarterback who could have actually handled that pressure. This isn't just about preseason stats. This is about a franchise potentially setting themselves back for years. What's good? Football family. You know what? I've been sitting on this story for a minute now, and I can't keep quiet about it anymore. The New York Giants. Man, where do I even start with this organization? They had their shot. They had their chance to grab the future of their franchise, and they absolutely blew it.
It's the best compliment I can give you. If you're a quarterback, you're a rookie quarterback, you look comfortable, confident. And he did. He looked like he had command of the offense. That's great. Even if you make a mistake, a turnover, a fumble, you kind of run yourself into a sack. It's okay. What do you do after that? That's where you can become good or great with what you do after that. And, to the contrary, you could
see, while everyone's been focused on all the drama and the headlines, I've been doing something most people won't do. I've been watching the tape, every single snap. And let me tell you something that's going to make Giants fans sick to their stomach. Shadur Sanders didn't just look good in preseason. He looked ready. Not ready for college ball, not ready for some development league, ready for the NFL, ready to be the guy. You want to know what the most telling thing was? It wasn't his arm strength, though that zip on his passes was nasty. It wasn't even his pocket presence, although watching him step up and deliver strikes under pressure was beautiful to watch. No, the most telling thing was how comfortable he looked. And if you know football, you know that's the ultimate compliment for any quarterback, especially a rookie. Now, I know what some of y'all are thinking, but he's just a rookie. Preseason doesn't mean everything. And you're right, preseason can be misleading. But here's where it gets interesting. And this is where the Giants front office should be losing sleep at night. Remember when analysts were breaking down that so-called competition between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur? Everyone was trying to make it seem like it was close, like both guys were neck and neck. But if you actually watched, and I mean really watched, there was no competition. Shedeur was playing error-free ball while others were making mistakes. That got blamed on everything except the quarterback. The expert breakdown said it perfectly. Shedeur looked like he had command of the offense. That's not something you can teach. That's not something you develop in training camp. That's leadership. That's football IQ. That's what separates the good from the great. But let's talk about what the Giants actually did instead. They went and got Russell Wilson. Now don't get me wrong, Russ has had a great career, but we're talking about a guy who's clearly in the twilight of his career going to a team with. And this is crucial. Statistically, the hardest schedule in the NFL this season. Think about this for a second. The Giants are looking at games against Washington, Kansas City, hosting the Chargers in their first 4 games alone. We're talking about potentially going 2-8 or 1-9 through the first stretch of the season. And their solution? A veteran quarterback who's past his prime instead of investing in the future.
Even Brian Dable as my head coach. I say to Brian, you and Joe Shane, the GM, are not getting fired. I want you to go out and coach this team as we prepare for the future. And by doing so, now I don't have to play Russ the whole time. Because if I look at that schedule, there's a chance the Giants are 2-8, 1-9. I think you got to approach this and say, is Jaxson Dart our future? Get him ready to be your future, and the future is now. But if they're coaching for their jobs, then Russell Wilson, then you stunt the growth of the franchise, in my opinion. Because now you're going to play and you're going to feel
Here's where it gets even crazier. If you're the Giants owner and you truly believe in your head coach Brian Dable, then why aren't you telling him and GM Joe Schoen that their jobs are safe? Why aren't you saying, go out there and coach this team for the future, not for this season? Because that's what smart organizations do. They recognize when they have a brutal schedule, they recognize when they're in a rebuild, and they make decisions accordingly. Instead of stunting the growth of your franchise by trying to squeeze a few extra wins out of Russell Wilson, why not invest in someone like Shadur Sanders who could actually be your future? But no, the Giants are coaching for their jobs, which means they're going to play Russell Wilson. They're going to try to win now with a roster that's not built to compete, and they're going to waste another season while watching Shedeur Sanders develop into everything they could have had. Now let me tell you something that's going to blow your mind about preseason statistics. Everyone wants to point to big numbers and act like they don't mean anything. Oh, it's just preseason. It's just backups. It doesn't count. But here's the thing. These are still professional athletes. These are still guys fighting for roster spots, guys trying to make careers for themselves. When Stetson Bennett Jr. threw for 324 yards and 40 attempts for the Rams, people shrugged it off. When other backup quarterbacks put up similar numbers, Reed Sennett with 343 yards for the Bengals, Ryan Griffin with 330 for the Bucks, Nate Sudfeld with 312 for the Eagles. Nobody batted an eye, but when Shadur Sanders puts up numbers and looks comfortable doing it, when he shows command of the offense and demonstrates the kind of pocket presence that veterans struggle with, that's different. That's not just preseason stats. That's a glimpse into what could be a special career. And here's what makes this even more frustrating for Giants fans. They know they need a quarterback of the future. Daniel Jones hasn't proven he can be that guy, and Russell Wilson isn't getting any younger. They had a chance to draft someone who could have been their franchise quarterback for the next 12 to 15 years, and they passed. Instead, they're going to trot out there with a difficult schedule, an aging quarterback, and no real long-term plan at the most important position in football. Meanwhile, Shadur Sanders is going to continue developing, improving, and eventually become exactly what the Giants could have had. You know what the craziest part is? The Giants aren't even planning for failure properly. If you know you have the hardest schedule in the league, if you know you're probably going to struggle, then why not use that as an opportunity to develop young talent? Why not give someone like what Shadur could have been the chance to learn and grow through those tough games? Because at least then, even if you're losing, you're building something. You're developing your future. Instead, they're going to lose games with Russell Wilson, learn nothing about their long-term prospects, and be right back in the same position next year, looking for a quarterback. The writing was on the wall during preseason. While other rookies were making typical rookie mistakes, Shadur was showing the kind of composure and decision-making that you usually don't see until a player's second or third year. He wasn't just completing passes, he was reading defenses, making adjustments, and showing the kind of football IQ that separates future stars from career backups. And let's be real about something else, the name recognition factor. Shadur Sanders brings a level of excitement and marketability that most rookies just don't have. In a city like New York, with a fan base that's been starving for something to get excited about, having a young, talented quarterback with that kind of pedigree would have been huge for the organization. But instead, they're going to try to compete with a roster that's not ready to compete, using a quarterback strategy that doesn't make sense for their timeline, all while the player they could have had continues to develop into exactly what they need. The most frustrating part? This isn't hindsight. This was predictable. Anyone who watched Shedur's college tape, anyone who saw his preseason performance, anyone who understood what the Giants were actually working with could have seen this coming. So now Giants fans get to watch their team struggle through the league's toughest schedule while knowing they passed on a quarterback who could have been learning and developing through those same tough games. They get to watch Russell Wilson try to recapture magic that might not be there anymore, while Shadur Sanders shows exactly why he should have been their future. And here's the thing that's really going to hurt. This isn't just about this season. This is about the next 5 years. The Giants just set themselves back significantly by not addressing their long-term quarterback situation when they had the chance. The expert analysis was crystal clear. Shadur looked comfortable, he looked confident, he looked like he belonged. Those aren't things you can fake, and they're not things that happen by accident. That's talent recognizing opportunity and rising to meet it. Meanwhile, the Giants are going to spend this season finding out exactly why having the NFL's hardest Schedule with an aging quarterback and no long-term plan is a recipe for disaster. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Russell Wilson still has enough left in the tank to make this work. Maybe the Giants' schedule won't be as brutal as it looks on paper. Maybe they'll surprise everyone and find a way to compete. But based on what we saw in preseason, based on the trajectory both players are on, and based on the decisions both organizations made, I don't think so. The Giants had their shot at the future, and they blew it. Now they get to live with the consequences while watching what could have been dominate somewhere else. What do you think? Did the Giants make the right call going with experience over potential? Or are they going to regret passing on Shadur Sanders for years to come? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that subscribe button because we're just getting started with this season's drama.